Hi everyone, my name is Dao Tuan Anh. Today I'll demonstrate LAB5, installing and configuring Active Directory certificate services for Windows 700. This lab involves setting up two-tier PKA with an enterprise root CA on domain controller VM and a subordinate CA on my server VM, along with a CRL distribution, online responder, and CA backup. Now let's go to exercise 19.1. So in exercise 19.1, I install Active Directory certificate services on a domain controller VM and configure it as an enterprise root CA. The root CA sits at the top of the PKA hierarchy and is the trust anchor for the entire domain. During installation, I note the default keyline was 2048-bit, but changed it to 4096 for better security. The default CA name was my Seneca ID RWDC-174-CA, and the default validity period was 5 years. For the review question, how many enterprise root certificates authority can you install for the domain? The answer is 1. This can only be one root CA at the top of the PKA hierarchy, since it's up as a single trust anchor. Move to exercise 19.2. On server, in exercise 19.2, I install a subordinate CA on my server VM. This subordinate CA received its certificate from the root CA on the RWDC-174 by sending a certificate request to a parent CA during configuration. The subordinate CA handled day-to-day certificate issuance, while the root CA maintained the trust hierarchy. For the review question, how many subordinate CA can you install for the domain? The answer is as many as needed. The number of subordinate CA depend on the organization requirement, such as geographic distribution, departmental need, or workload. Next is exercise 19.3. In exercise 19.3, I configure the CRL distribution point. I remove the existing HTTP entry and added a new one with the wrapper URL format pointing to the third enroll folder. Here's the URL. The CRL publication interval was set to 1 week, and the Delta CRL publication interval was 1 day. For the review question, what extension does the certificate revocation list have? The answer is .docCRL. Now let's move to exercise 19.4. In exercise 19.4, I install and configure the online responder role service on my server VM. The online responder uses OCSB, the online certificate status protocol, to provide real-time certificate validation. Unlike a CRL, which is a complete list of all revoked certificates distributed periodically, the online responder handles individual certificate status requests in real time, making it more efficient. I also configured the AIA extension to include the OCSB URL and enable the OCSB response sign-in template for auto-enrollment. For a review question, what did I install that has a similar functionality to a CRL? The answer is the online responder. It validates certificate revocation status in real time, serving a similar purpose to the CRL but more efficiently. Finally, in exercise 19.5. In exercise 19.5, I perform a backup of the CA using the certification authority console. I right-click the CA, went to All Tasks, and selected Backup CA. I backup both the private key and the CA certificate, as well as the certificate database and the database log, to a C//BAK directory with a password to protect the private key. For the review question, how did I perform a backup of the CA? I used the certification authority backup wizard from the certification authority console. I selected all tasks, then backup CA, choose the backup derived key, CA certificate, and the certificate database with log to a C//BAK directory. That's everything. Thank you for watching.